Hello, investors. It's Don Vandenbord, Chief Investment Officer with Revere Asset Management. Today is Monday, February 26th, 5:35 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from St. Augustine Beach, Florida, with tonight's Revere Market Insight video. State of the market, we're in an uptrend since the O'Neill follow-through days. Back at the beginning of November, you can see the trend gauge over here. We've got the coveted 4 green arrows, market leadership acting just fine, and plentiful amount of stocks participating in this very strong rally off of the follow-through day. And all 5 of the major indexes that we track are trending above all 3 time frames that we invest over, that being the short-term 21-day moving average, medium-term 50-day moving average, long-term 200-day moving average. So what happened today? Weak close. But looking at my quote screen, it's covered with green. Leaders very strong today, certainly outperformed the indexes. Here are the final numbers. The big 7, not a good day here, down 0.77%. On the downside, led by Google, down 4.44%. Google released their new AI product called Gemini last week, and I'm trying not to say something negative about this, but it's been an abomination, and there are racial undertones to it from a woke standpoint. But we'll just leave that where it is. RG8, our 8 growth ETF composite, up 0.91%, and including in there FFTY, which is the IBD 50, up nicely 2.28%. This again reiterates the comment in the headline, leader strong today. ARK-K also up nicely today. S&P 500 closed near the lows of the day. It's been forming lower highs and lower lows since its somewhat exhaustive gap Friday afternoon, down 0.38%, equal weighted, down about the same. NASDAQ 100 was green for most of the day, ended up down 0.05%, equal weighted, up 0.2. Dow Jones Industrial Average down 0.16, midcaps down 0.12. Russell 2000 led the way, up 0.6% today. Global 60/40 down 0.21. Both stocks and bonds down as rates ticked up a wee bit. In-house leaders doing the job for us today, not our index, our S&P 500 index exposure, but the leaders led us to a slightly positive finish, up 0.07%. Kind of a weird day today. That's a technical term, but we'll take outperformance every day of the week. I'll show ARK-K this did have a good day, mostly because some of the leading positions in there, led by Coin, had an extremely good day. But let's go to where we normally start, the S&P 500, and I want to go to the 5-minute chart here, and you can see. So here's the big gap up last Thursday on NVIDIA and AI tech all had a great day. A little adding on to that, a little bit of an exhaustion gap on Friday, but then you can see since that, and this is something that we always track, we always write down the opening 30-minute range and then refer to the opening 60-minute range against those numbers. But you can see both of these past 2 days, we hit the high within today within the first 5 minutes, Friday within the first about 15 minutes. And then it's just been a series of lower highs and lower lows since then. Now, the optimist would say, no problem. This is just a very nice bull flag that we're forming, and I can't argue with that. And also add on to that the great action of leading stocks. And, I don't really see anything to be concerned about at this point. Now, what would get us concerned? Obviously, we start breaking our moving averages one at a time. Closing below the low of the gap up day would be clearly not bullish. Breaking below the 8-day exponential moving average, a little bit less so, but we've done that several times over the last 2 weeks and responded with new highs each time. The 21-day exponential moving average is working its way up to 5,000, which is a big round number that we played around with before gapping above it last Thursday, so that should provide an additional level of support. And then below there is the 50-day moving average, which continues to move up at a really nice angle of ascent. So this looks great. I've said it before, more money is lost worrying about a correction than in the correction itself. So we keep on riding this wave as far as it'll take us. NASDAQ 100, uh, not quite the same flag formation. This more a sideways consolidation, despite the fact that Apple, Microsoft, and of course Google, as we mentioned, having rough days today. Apple and Microsoft, you don't normally see the NASDAQ 100 just barely negative, but it got boosted by Tesla having a decent day and also semiconductors and software having a decent day. So a little bit of sideways consolidation there on the NASDAQ 100, and this looks fine as well after having the one close below the 21-day moving average. Last week, I do want to note now with these new highs, the relative strength line is not confirming it just yet. Very often when this plays catch up, it can lag for a while, but then you'll see price action and relative strength kicking in. And that's what we're looking for. That's what bulls are certainly looking for. Dow Jones Industrial Average pierced 38,000, now piercing 39,000 3 days in a row above there, pulling back today. Nothing wrong with that. Mid caps, uh, not much of a change here at all. MDY down 0.03%, hanging around above the 8-day exponential moving average, and IWM small caps. The winner today up 0.63%, clearing this 200 level. This coincides roughly with the 2000 level in the Russell 2000. So some good stuff there. We're always on our, keeping our eye out for weakness, relative weakness, as well as price weakness, and on volume and on a host of secondary indicators, but nothing firm yet to make us that would want to get us out of the market. The VIX was oddly up today while the market was down and or more was flat, but then the VIX sold off along with the market in the afternoon. These things normally move opposite each other, but uh, the VIX staying low is what you want. Below the 200-day, below that 15 level, below the 21-day moving average. Dollar, mild weakness today, down 0.13%. That didn't help gold and silver stocks, though. They were all lower. But what wasn't lower was Bitcoin today, as it had a very strong breakout above 53,000. And that corresponded with a break above this 25 level on Bitto, which is, we show the Bitto chart for, so you can see where Bitcoin has been. We own IBIT, which was one of the new Bitcoin spot ETFs. And you can see after forming this cup with a little handle here, it clearly broke out of that above 30 today. So that's been treating us very well. On the bonds now, BND, the broad bond index, tight trading, down 0.18%. Long bond down 0.3%, also traded in a tight range. Bond prices down, yield up slightly. Here's the TYX. You can see undercutting and reclaiming the 21-day moving average, and TNX, the 10-year, up also 0.92%. Let's go to the tail of the tape. You can pause this. I'll hit the highlights. I do want to point out, okay, so up one with a 2-day consolidation on the S&P 500 after that big move up since Thursday. We've just been consolidating. Third close back above the 80 MA, 34th above the 21-day exponential moving average, 77 out of the last 78 days. We've been above the 21-day exponential moving average since the second follow-through day in the NASDAQ on 11/2. We've been up 15 out of 17 weeks and 77 straight days above the 50-day moving average. This is an extraordinarily long time relative to what we normally see against these moving averages. But again, if you pull the plug prematurely, you've missed out as it's continued to go higher. And we're not going to try to draw conclusions about it. We're where we are in the indexes, we normally would be invested with a higher percentage, but a lot of things got extended to the upside. We took some profits in it, and we are where we are. Some things working, continuing to work very well, and as I said, leading stocks with a very nice day today. One thing we do want to do, as I mentioned, monitoring that opening 30-minute range, and when you see we formed a high within the first 5 minutes today, and then just kept trickling lower. So did add one oil stock today. We'll talk about that in a minute, and we trimmed a stock that we added on a gap up and just plain not working. Don't fight with it; it's not working. We'll talk about that in a minute also, and along with some other stocks that we're going to take a look at. So might as well get to the portfolio. We trimmed Square. I'll show that chart in a minute, and bought Weatherford was the oil stock. Bottom line on the day, a weak close, but leaders stay strong in Bitcoin and the whole Bitcoin complex to boot. Breaking out today. So here's Square. Sometimes these gaps up work great, and sometimes they do this. And this is very clearly not what I expected. It's a reason we keep our stops, and we stopped on half of it today with the break below the low of the gap up day. So still holding on to a small portion of it to see if it will U-turn here. Oddly, it's known as part of the Bitcoin complex, but it really didn't benefit from Bitcoin's strong day at all today. The leading oil stock that we added, Weatherford, double inside day. This has shown relative strength over the last 3 weeks versus other oil stocks. Very nice. Um, 3 bases right in a row here. Broke out of it last week on slightly above average volume, pulling back on lower volume, double inside day. If strength comes into oil, I would expect this to be one of the leaders. Let's go to, we'll look at some things in the portfolio and then a couple of other tickers, and then we'll wrap it up. So the standouts in the portfolio today were LABU. The biotech that we bought, biotech index. This is the leverage biotech index that we bought last week, up 8%. We go by XBI, the underlying, to make our decisions, buy and sell decisions on this, up 2.73% with a very clear breakout above this flat base today after a nice sideways action after this big double bottom base. So it's kind of like a double bottom, and this was the handle. Um, Hats off to Ted and Connor for making sure that I didn't miss this one. Ted was a biology major. He loves biotechs, and he's a very strong proponent that AI is going to lead to a bunch of medical breakthroughs, and biotech is going to benefit from that. And as I mentioned, IBIT2 was the other standout in the portfolio today. On the weak side, we already showed Square. CrowdStrike continues with nice comeback since that gap down in sympathy with Palo Alto, up 3% today. Now, some other tickers. Here's that Google. Note the volume on this. This is people not playing around. They're getting out, breaking the 50-day moving average, and a absolutely PR nightmare for Google. What's going on there? DraftKings was a little squirrely on its earnings. Big range day, but breaking below the low, trying to get back above it and not able to, and now breaking the 1-day moving average, which has rolled over. So if you're in this, beware, that's showing some weakness. Abercrombie and Fitch has been a very strong runner in the apparel clothing sector. Ralph Lauren looks like it wants to challenge it. This has just been on a tear since earnings. We're looking for a 60-minute stochastic pullback to the 8-day and to the 8-day exponential moving average to possibly try to start an entry in here. Coinbase had a great day today as Bitcoin broke out. Nice little handle here, breaking out of that base today, up 60% above average volume, 17% on the day. Steel stocks looking very good. Here's new breaking out. That's Nucor, Steel Dynamics, STLD, up 3%. That one broke out of the cup and handle, needed a volume, not what you want to see, but the price actions there. CLF still consolidating in its handle. So steel producers certainly improving. That's going to wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. The email is don@revereasset.com. The phone's 855-REAL-WEALTH. That's 855-732-5932. If you're interested in becoming a client, my partner Dan Stewart is dan@revereasset.com. Our flag portfolio is named GROTECTION because it serves a dual purpose of participating in market uptrends and getting the heck out of the way when the market is in a downtrend. Common sense approach. Reach out to us for more info. And we talk about it every night on these videos. And with that, I'll wrap it up for Monday, February 26th. This is Don Vandenbord with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening and have a great day.